Alright, so the final thing I'm going to talk about is the graphical presentation of 2XKL. And so I can't sugarcoat this, it's going to be pretty much all bad. The game itself doesn't look bad, it looks great, the resolution is good, especially in person versus looking at videos. The rendering is great, and it's not the worst looking game I've ever seen, but when it comes to having contemporaries like a game such as Strive, Street Fighter 6, Tekken 8, DNF Duel, obviously DBZ Fighters, then this game just pales in comparison, and this is one of the newest fighting games out, yet it doesn't look like the newest. So first off, the silhouettes. Look at Jinx's silhouette. It's not good. Now, if I were to ink it all black, there's too many things in her silhouette that stick out and doesn't make for a readable figure. When it comes to the metallic shark on her back, this gun, her stance. Now, a better silhouette will be something like Braun, because obviously he's just a guy with a shield. So if you were to turn him all black, he'd be more readable. But no character in this game has great silhouettes. This is the thing when it comes to the artists and designers when importing this game from League to a fighting game. What makes a good fighting game compatible character, right? Because this isn't the first game to import a character from a different series or from a non-fighting game series. This isn't the first game to do that. If you think of a character like, let's just say Goku, right? Goku will be a great character in a fighting game. He has a clear silhouette when you consider his hairstyle. So a comic character or a cartoon character makes a good fighting game character. Why? Because when you're making a comic, you want the reader to turn the page. You want to build excitement. You want to build expectation for the reader to turn the next page, for the reader to buy the next comic. So you want things to be dynamic, right? The moves are announced and the character visually is clearly defined. No character in this game is clearly defined. They don't stand out, you know? Their outfits are just a mixture of very muddy colors, very neutral, non-saturated colors. If you look at Braun and his pants, his boots, it's a very muted navy blue, you know? Nothing stands out here. It's actually the opposite of what makes a good fighting game character. These things need to happen in order for your character to build name recognition and visual recognition to where we can recognize the character, look at the silhouette, and immediately know, oh, it's this character. Oh, it's, you know, if you do the same thing for anime characters, you know, Gon, Naruto, Goku, you can see the silhouette you already know. So I never played League, but the concept artists and animators did not do a good job of translating League of Legends into a fighting game because of all the reasons I just talked about: the silhouette, the moves, the animation, which I'm going to get into, the colors. Nothing stands out for these characters. They just look very muted, very normal, and just very steampunky / with a mixture of medieval Europe. Not to say they need to make a new kind of genre or setting. Obviously they're taking League of Legends characters, but at the same time you have to adapt them to a fighting game and outfit them to make them compatible with a fighting game. You can't just simply port the characters here and expect it to work well, because clearly, as we see, this does not work well. And I would argue that most, if not every character, needs a makeover. Last thing I'm gonna talk about is the animations. Now, when they're not moving, the animations look fine. The walk looks fine, this looks fine. The runs look cool, look sufficient, you know? Even some characters look better than mediocre. Jinx, her animations are great. Her crouch animation is great. They even created some secondary animations when it comes to her eyes and where they're looking at. She's giving off that crazy feel, right? But the problem with this game is the timing of the animations. The timing on the keyframes are all off. If you think about a game like Guilty Gear Strive, then you'll notice that it seems very choppy, but in a good way, because they're animating just looking at it. It seems like on 3s or even 4s. If you don't know what I mean by 2s and 3s, I mean how many frames are you implementing in your animation per 24 frames, per 30 frames. But the location and where they place their keyframes is very professional and well done, to where it looks smooth despite not having a higher frame rate like a typical animation. So like this move, every single thing I'm doing here, the look of all of these moves can look way better if you have a better animator. Let me just say that. And obviously it's not all bad, but that's the worst part of this game, is the timing on the keyframes. And so it's a beta, I understand. But if you're going to fix the game, because again, the actual visual graphical look of the game is fine. It can stay there. It's cel shaded, you know, appears to be like any other game that's out today, you know, Apex, Fortnite, whatever. But what you really need to do is, developers, is fix the timing of the keyframes. That's the #1 thing you should fix. Because what happens is that a game like this, which is so high octane, and has so many combo compatible routes and it's such a sandbox offensively, then it's not going to look as good as it could have if the keyframes and timing was better. Notice how games like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, games like even Strive, obviously a standout example will be Smash Bros. Melee. Notice how it looks so good when in the hands of pros. When somebody's really good at the game, then the game looks better. Even Tekken 5, 6, Tag 2, same thing. If you have good timing and animation, then the game looks better when a capable player is handling the character at a high level. If the animation isn't good, then the game looks jumpy, jittery, jagged, off-putting when a capable player is handling the character. And unfortunately, this game is a latter of the two statements. So that's the one thing they need to fix, is the timing of the keyframes, in my opinion. Oh, and the final thing is you have to separate yourself from the pack when it comes to what do you do as a tag fighter that's different than other tag fighters. Clearly, mechanically, it does a lot of things that are different. So that's not the issue. That's what are you doing in terms of the visual presentation that's different from another tag fighter. And one example is an assist, right? If I do this, then he has a cool animation and then he just disappears. I understand it's a beta, but hopefully that's going to get more, fleshed out and more furnished when it comes to, okay, shouldn't he have a unique way of jumping out that kind of makes him distinctive as a character, right? And also, if I were to do a tag, then the player just disappears in a green mist. This is not sufficient if you're entering the realm of a tag fighter, because so many other games do things way more interesting when it comes to these little things, right? Think about Skullgirls when it comes to playing Squiggly, and the fact that when you tag out for a character, then she buries herself and then she's a tombstone that follows the players as she's an assist. And then once she tags back in, then she comes out as if she's resurrecting from the dead. Think about Black Dahlia, who's like a Black Widow character, and then she zip lines up out of the screen when she gets tagged out, right? Think about a character like Annie, who appears as like an orb that comes from the character when she gets tagged in and it's an attack. So not only are their attacks unique, but they have offensive properties when you tag your character. And compare that to this game, to where we just dematerialize into a lime green mist. That's it. You know what I'm saying? It's clear that the lowest amount of the budget went to the graphical presentation of the game. So they just need to clean that up, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my opinion of the graphical presentation of 2XKO. So let me know what you guys think. Definitely subscribe, share this video if you can, and I'll see you guys later.